The King and Queen will undertake a state visit to Kenya and address the painful legacy of empire head-on. Their 4-day trip, from October 31st to November 3rd, will see His Majesty take time during the visit to deepen his understanding of the wrongs suffered in this period by the people of Kenya, his Deputy Private Secretary Chris Fitzgerald said yesterday. Mr. Fitzgerald added that the King would also acknowledge the more painful aspects of the United Kingdom and Kenya's shared history, including the 1952 emergency, as the country approaches its 60th anniversary of independence. The British colonial presence in Kenya formally began in 1895 when white settlers were given huge tracts of rich farmland. Kenya eventually became a British colony in 1920. In 1953, the British declared a state of emergency after a spate of strikes and violent opposition led by the Mau Mau Party, amid growing anger at the dispossession of Kenyan lands and lack of political rights. The country finally secured independence in November 1963, while Queen Elizabeth was on the throne. In 2013, the British government made an historic statement of regret over the torture and other forms of ill treatment perpetrated by the colonial administration and paid out £19. £9 million to around 5,200 Kenyans for human rights abuses. It is believed that the King will become the first member of the royal family to acknowledge Britain's mea culpa. Since independence, the two countries have enjoyed a warm relationship, however, and it is hoped that the state visit will further that. It is understood that it came at the request of Kenya's President Ruto, who is keen to focus on their shared future. It is likely that British officials arranging their Majesties' program will have learnt lessons from last year's visit by the Prince and Princess of Wales to the Caribbean, which attracted criticism for what some perceived to be colonial overtones. The trip is particularly significant as it is His Majesty's first visit to a Commonwealth nation as King. And Kenya is where Queen Elizabeth II's reign began, having learnt of her father, King George VI's death, while on a visit with Prince Philip in February 1952. The King and Queen will visit both Nairobi and Mombasa and will be guests of honor at a state banquet, as well as visiting projects and charities close to their hearts. As well as His Majesty holding bilateral talks with the President, Queen Camilla has also been invited for a one-to-one with the head of state's wife. Trade, climate change, youth opportunity and employment, sustainable development and military ties will all be highlighted during their engagements. The King and Queen will also visit Nairobi National Park to witness the vital conservation work being undertaken by the Kenya Wildlife Service, which is integral to Kenya's tourism industry. Charles will also meet faith leaders from Mombasa's diverse community, while Camilla will meet survivors of sexual and gender-based violence.